Alright, welcome to AA Talksport, and we're on YouTube, man. Our third video on the channel, man. We are here doing a match and lineup review, going through all of the players and general performance after the England versus Latvia qualifier for the World Cup. And listen, sorry guys if I don't have the most energy in the world. It was actually a good performance today, a real good performance. I am just thinking that, bro, I cannot believe it is another, what, 8, 9 days till we get some Premier League and Liverpool games. So yeah, I just really want this international break to be over. So I feel like Tuchel's first game, it had me a little. Now I'm just like, oh please, please, just give me back my Premier League. But anyway, let's talk a bit about this game. Like as I said, it was a real good performance, man. Honestly, I really like the lineup. I like, Tuchel made a couple of changes. Gahey came in. Rodgers came in, Bowen came in for Foden, and I feel like that gave us a little bit more life. I thought it was really nice in the way that it was a 4-2-3-1 on paper, in the way that we had Rice and Bellingham in the pivot, and then you had Morgan Rodgers in the 10. But actually, when we played, we were really quite daring, and it was almost like a 4-1-4-1, to be honest, in the way that it was later on in the game against Albania. So you just had Rice in the pivot. And Bellingham and Rodgers were essentially playing like high eights and combining really well with our front three. And we really put a lot of pressure on Latvia, who of course are a low quality side. But I thought today it was a lot better in terms of, yes, that they were defending deep, but normally in those games we kind of struggle. We just about get through, with a lot of pressure, often through like maybe a set piece or scrappy goal. But we cooked them a lot. Like there was a lot of last ditch defending they had to do before we started getting a couple of goals. Like Rashford and Bellingham had players slipping around, and then, in the end we scored, we scored some real good goals. The free kick was lovely. Reece James is an absolute joke of a footballer. We'll get onto him in more detail when we go through the lineup. Oh, then you think about the second goal. I thought the run from Rice was so good. That underlap run was after a couple of subs. Tuchel made good subs at the right time again today. Then he goes into Kane at the back post. Kane scores like he always does. And then the third goal, Eze. It was really good to see Eze be daring, take his man on. Lovely little steppies, jinx. And he scores. I thought that was really encouraging from Eze because I just feel like, and it's been reflecting in his club football as well, that with Eze, he just doesn't, he's got so much capability to beat a man, to be really real intelligent and combine with players, but he just plays quite safe. And I felt that had really shown recently in his performances. So it's so good to see him, just pick up that real confidence and be real bold in the way that he played. And I thought it was an absolutely fantastic goal. So hats off to him. Many people were a bit critical of the fact that he had come into the England squad, particularly when Morgan Gibbs-White wasn't in the squad. So he's kind of earned his stripes and shown the quality that he can provide. So it was really, really good to see him, and I was really impressed. But anyway, let's kind of go into the lineup and do a little bit of a review. Cool. Let me just get it up. All right. Where do I need to go? I just need to go on Safari here. So you guys will see that Canva image behind me. So we had Pickford in goal. We had MLS left back, Gahey and Konsa at centre back. So that was a change. Gahey coming in for Dan Burn, which I think was I think it was a little bit of a level up in terms of that change. I thought Gahey performed better, but anyway, we'll get into individual players later. Then we had Reece James right back. We had Rice and Bellingham in the pivot. So a change there with Jones coming out. Then we had Morgan Rodgers in the 10. So him going into the 10 with Bellingham going into the pivot is also another change. Then we had Rashford on the left. That didn't change. Bowen on the right. That's a direct change for Foden. And then we had Kane up top. So now let's go through again. Pickford, not a lot to do in that game. Had that little bit of I actually kind of missed that because I was just coming down after finishing a little bit of work. Like I had to really go on and look at work. That's aside the point anyway. But I missed that little mix up that he had right at the start of the game. But Pickford again didn't really have much to do. We then move on to MLS. He was again fantastic. Like, bro, this kid is a genuine joke, man. I thought he was so good again, so defensively good, protects the ball really well, kept it moving well. It wasn't a standout as his debut in terms of performance, but the guy is so clean. Then we had Gahey and Konsa, who I thought were largely very solid. I thought Gahey was very impressive. I think he is the better centre back in comparison to Dan Burn. Listen, I thought Dan Burn did all right, but we just saw when Albania started to counter attack, he was struggling a little bit on the halfway line. And if you think that's more quality opposition, I'm not sure he'd be able to deal with it. I think Gay in the past, we've seen that he's very comfortable defending on the halfway line. He looked real comfortable today on the ball in terms and in his defending. So I thought that was top draw. And I think that's our best centre back pairing, really, in terms of what will be mostly available. Of course, Stones is an excellent centre back, but I just don't know if we can depend on him anymore. The injuries have just been so bad as of late. Then we had Reece James at right back. Reece James, man, he is just an unbelievable footballer. And I said this in my TikTok and I'll repeat it again. In terms of profile, that's the most talented fullback of our generation, genuinely. And it's just because he's had injuries that he hasn't really been able to realise it. And other guys like Walker and Trent have been ahead of him. But he is such a joke. That free kick was insane. It was so perfect. It reminded me of Messi's free kick against us in the Champions League. It, like, if you look at it, sorry, I was just supposed to say, if you look at it, right, the where it enters the goal is so in the top corner. It is an absolute joke. The keeper had no chance. You can see that he didn't even dive. And you think about the fact that the guy's been injured for so long, and for him to slot in and do that, some of the dangerous crosses that he put in, the way he inverts as well when needed to, and he can combine in the center. And listen, he wasn't tested today, but we know he's so good defensively. He's an absolute joke. And hopefully he can stay fit, as he'll be a great option for England. But you just always doubt it with everything that he's had with his hamstrings and other areas now as well. Cool. Moving into the midfield three, Rice, Bellingham and Rodgers. Really good performances. I thought Rice was superb. The assist to Kane was real nice. But just also just defensively, I thought we asked a lot of him today and he just did so well. He hoovers up everything. And honestly speaking, I would really like to see him play a deeper role for Arsenal as well. I feel like he plays a little bit too high for Arsenal. When you see him play as a pure DM, you actually really appreciate how flawless he is defensively. I thought he was so good today and I thought a lot was asked for him. Moving on to Bellingham, yeah, real good performance as well. Well, good performance, I would say. I wouldn't say real good. I thought it was a good, solid performance for Bellingham. He came off a little bit early, he got that yellow, and he was, Bellingham is he's a bit of a passion merchant. Like, he loves getting into it, which is such an asset. But, he nearly got sent off with a slide tackle that was a little bit dangerous. But I thought, on the whole, he was good, kept it ticking up. But I don't think he wasn't a standout as he was in the first game versus Albania. Rodgers, I thought, was really good. I thought it was a top performance from him. I thought he was unlucky not to get onto the score sheet. Just a little bit more quality in the final third is needed. I wouldn't even say final third because we pretty much played that whole game in the final third, but more so the final action, I would say. He had that one where he drove in real nicely and he just missed it on his left foot where he curled it. I don't know if you guys will remember that, but I felt he should have probably scored that. But he combined well. He beat players. I can't frown upon the performance. I thought it was a real solid performance. Then on to the front three. Rashford, Kane and Bowen. So starting off with Rashford, I thought it was good. I mean, I've pretty much said that for anyone, but I thought it was all on the whole a real good performance. I thought the way he beat players was really nice. He had players slipping and sliding sometimes, the way he'd like shift inside and then cut back out. And I thought what was really good in terms of Rashford's performance being a lot more lively is the fact that Tuchel came out and criticised him for his performance in the first game. Said he didn't do enough along with Foden. And I saw a lot of people saying that, they're not sure about, Tuchel coming out and, digging out his players. And I don't really feel like it's a dig out. Like, I feel like a manager can be honest about the level of performance, especially when he's got such top players like the players that we have at our disposal in this squad. And I think Tuchel was just honest. You expect more from our wide players. I was actually quite complimentary of Rashford, too much so in the first game because Foden was that bad that it was like I was looking at Rashford and thinking that he was actually cooking when he wasn't. And I think Tuchel, in being honest in reflection of Rashford's game, which wasn't really of the standard when you're playing against a team like Albania, he just wasn't dangerous enough. He reacted today and I thought he was a lot more lively and we got a lot more from him and he created a lot more chances. I still think with Rashford, I still want a little bit more. I thought some of the crosses that he put in were a little bit poor. I think if he just took a little bit more time, he could have picked out players a little bit better, but that's a bit of a stretch. I think on the whole, he was one of our most dangerous players today and I'm happy with the performance. Bowen, I thought was a little bit quiet for me. He obviously got taken off pretty early on for Eze. I thought, listen, Bowen's a good player. I was about to say decent. He's a good player, but I thought I would want a little bit more. I thought, it was an opportunity to, take Foden's shirt. I'm not sure he's quite done that. I just think, you know what? I thought that game is a really good reflection of how when mid-table ballers, top-level mid-table ballers like what Bowen is, go into uh go into a top side like England are, and you're playing against a team that are defending in a deep block, and you have to break them down, and there is a lot less space to to be able to take advantage of, and you have to really combine with players and try and beat players in very tight areas rather than playing on the counter attack where you have a lot of space, players aren't man marking you. And I just don't feel like he was able to really adapt to that. I'm sure he will once he gets used to it, but I feel like the lack of space caused him to struggle a fair bit. I actually think he'd probably be better up top, because I don't think he's not the most jinky winger. He's a lot more of an inside forward. I think he'd probably be better up top, but I don't think there'll be much space there for him given Watkins and stuff. So he's gonna have to hustle on the right wing, which he can, and try and do a little bit more for me. Nothing bad, but I think he could do a little bit more. Then Kane, I thought Kane was good. He was always an option in the box. He obviously got the goal. He had a couple of real dangerous actions. I think just with Kane sometimes just a little bit more liveliness at times, but I still think it was a general top draw performance. Like, listen, it was really good. 3-0 to Latvia. I don't think they didn't really lay a glove on us. We gave them a real tough time throughout the 90. The subs came on and we cooked them even more. I spoke about the goals. Listen, it's a qualifier. I expect us to do that. It'll be real interesting to see Thomas Tuchel play against some more top quality sides. I don't know if that's happening across the next set of qualifiers slash friendlies we have, but it will definitely happen in the World Cup. So we'll see, man. But yeah, that's my reflections on the game and my reflections on all the players who started and some of the key subs. Please just give me Premier League football, man. And please just give me Liverpool. So I'll be back after the next Liverpool game. Well, actually, I'll probably do a preview ahead of the Liverpool and Everton game, and then I'll do a 5 things afterwards. But anyway, guys, that is the video. I'm sorry I kind of went a bit down towards the end of that video, but I was just thinking about the fact that I am so missing Premier League and Liverpool football. But yeah, please like, subscribe, and do all of that lovely stuff. We're still just starting out, so we need all of that support. Thank you so much for tuning in.